Hello, I'm Doug Stokes, and together with my team members Sincere Dixon and Stephen Thompson, we're very excited to present Legend Stats, an Android app that will help teamfight tactics players take their gameplay to the next level. This app will let you track your match history, pick out, create, or save the perfect build for your playstyle, and browse characters and items from the current set. Existing applications are limited to desktop only, but Legend Stats gives you access to all these features on the go.
Michael wants to improve his stats, so he creates a new account. He reads through the information and he sees that he needs an email, a password, a display name, and most importantly, a Riot Games PUUID to connect to his stats. He clicks continue and he gives a email, gives a password, display name, and then most importantly, a PUUID. He creates an account, then he reads about all the features and everything included in the app so he can know how to use it. He clicks continue. And here he is first brought to the home screen where his stats are being pulled up. Opening the drawer, you can see that Michael is currently signed in. And this whole process was done using Firebase Authenticate, and it checks if a user already exists. And if the user doesn't exist, it gives the person trying to sign in a unique Firebase ID. And with that Firebase ID, they're allowed to sign in, sign out, or store information based on that ID.
Thanks, Sincere. My name's Stephen Thompson, and we're currently sitting at the home screen of Legend Stats. Here you will find a list of Michael's recently played games and some brief information about them. This is all displayed using the Riot Games Developer Portal's API libraries, and first, we can use these by obtaining the player's PUUID. This is a unique identifier linked to your account given to you by Riot Games. And then we use this PUUID and we can display the most recent match IDs this player has been in. So here, Michael's most recent match IDs are displayed on the right hand side of the card. We can then take this match ID and pass it back into the Riot Games API, and then we can take some detailed match information, and we can display a little bit of that on the left hand side of each match card. So Michael can then look through all of his most recently played matches and a small amount of details from that game. If Michael wants to look at some more detailed stats from the game, he can simply choose which match he wants to view and he can click on it. This takes him to his match details frame. This displays the match name, the game type, whether it's ranked or unranked, the length of the game, where he placed in the game, and a list of characters he used. So Michael can see all of this from his home screen. If Michael wants to go back, he can just hit the back button and he can search the details for any of his other games. Michael also enjoys playing TFT with his friend Stan. Stan loves to play Teamfight Tactics, and Michael wants to check out his stats, so Michael would just hit the search button. So here, Michael would enter Stan's Riot ID and his tagline. Stan's Riot ID would be his ID that he uses to play TFT. So Stan's TFT name is StanLee8. Then Stan's tagline is here. He has the default tagline. Some accounts have the default tagline, which is determined by the region in which you play. But some accounts also, you can change your tagline. So some of these accounts will not have the same tagline. And then Michael would hit search. And then Stan's match information is popped up, and Stan's name is popped up at the top. Here Michael can look at all of Stan's match information, and he can also see all of his recent matches. If Michael wanted to look at some of Stan's match details, or some of his enhanced match details, he can just simply click on any of the matches that he wanted to, and he can see the same amount of information that he can for his account. If Michael wanted to go back, he can just hit the back button, and to return to his own information, he can just go back to the drawer and hit the home button.
During gameplay, Michael uses a few solid builds, but is struggling to come up with new ones to use to place him higher in matches. With so many characters to use, he doesn't know who to pair with who. So, he wants to see potential builds that he can use during gameplay, and he clicks on Community Builds. Here, he sees all the other builds posted by fellow users. And all of this data is stored using Firebase Firestore. In our database, each user, based on their unique Firebase ID, has access to their own personal builds, which is the popular builds here, and they have access to community builds where all of the builds are posted from users, which we see here. Each individual build has a user's Firebase ID. It has a display name, has the title, and inside it has a description, which you can see here. Michael wants to add a build that he likes, so he clicks the plus button. He adds a title, and he adds a description. He then saves it to community builds, and it's added to the database. And now any of his fellow users will be able to save that build or see that build. And we can see it here. Since this build belongs to Michael, he has the option of more than just seeing it, but he can update it. Or he can delete it. So after that, Michael then looks through a few and he selects one that he would like to try. And he decides to save it. It is then saved to the popular builds, and if you click on popular builds, you'll see the build saved. And now Michael can use it later whenever he plays the game. And if he decides that he's done with it, he can remove it. And if he wants to add more, it'll take him back to the community build so he can further save builds and curate his own personal list.
After finishing with the community builds, Michael can focus on specific aspects of these builds in more detail. He'll start with current characters. Characters in Teamfight Tactics are separated into sets, which describe the current characters available to play, which change seasonally. Michael can tap on a character to see more detailed information on them, like their cost or information about their ability. In addition, he can look at the Stats tab for a more in-depth look at their stats. This list is inclusive of all the characters from the current set, so Michael can use this for detailed information about any character that he wants. Next, Michael will take a look at the Item Builder. This Item Builder displays a list of basic items. If he taps on one of these, it shows all the combinations of items that can be used to create more powerful advanced items. Although there are relatively few basic items, they combine in many ways to create a large variety of advanced items. For each advanced item, both of the component items are shown, as well as more detailed information about what each item does. This will help Michael plan the perfect order to take items in. Both the Item Builder and the Current Characters screen use JSON files to display their contents. Riot's publicly available API for Teamfight Tactics lacks the information for the current set, so instead, we use a JSON file to store all the information for these parts of the app. This JSON file is also publicly released by Riot, so anytime there's a new set, it is simple to change the input JSON file to a new one, and the new info will automatically populate. At this point, Michael's decided that he's finished browsing the information he wants. So, he logs out of the app. As you can see, Legend Stats is the perfect companion app for teamfight tactics. By using this app, Michael gives himself an edge over his fellow players. Whether it's scrolling through his match history, creating a new favorite build, or browsing the many characters and items, Michael can use this app to take his gameplay to the next level. Thank you for your time.